The numbers on these cards, they were written by a research associate I had sometime in 1995. Her name was Preeta. She was a first class first rank in MA English Literature from University Department of English, Trivandrum. Okay. So this is something very serious. It says world is a description. Human beings have a learning about the world. Every individual human being develops a so-called learning, a so-called knowing about the world. And that is a knowing, and therefore it is a description of the world. It will contain possibilities, it will contain beliefs and notions about cause-effect relationships, about his or theories of happenings or events in the world, and so on and so forth. So it will be difficult for an individual to write what the kind of description she or he has about the world. But nevertheless, world is a description because the little baby cannot directly, organically get connected with the birds and the plants and the air and the environment and so on and so forth. So naturally, the understanding of the world happens to the child half by its own creation and mostly by the description of the parents. That's so ideas about religion, ideas about community, relatives and neighborhood and various systems and norms and procedures and um, beliefs and whatever are also inducted into the developing child. Finally, it's a what you call a smorgasbord, a rough composition of descriptions about the world. But whatever be the description, that description is not the world. So the individuals with a creative perspective should often look at the world beyond that description, and every time he or she should be ready to revise that description. For which they can read philosophies, they can read higher order literature about various things. Okay. Okay. So why it is the why one has to be careful about understanding one's own description of the world is because the mind adjusts itself by that description of the world, like causality. Some people believe that everything is destiny, or powerful people control the world, or I should be careful about the powerful others. Like, in fact, I am a little bit scared about just seeing the police. Because that's the way that system called police or policemen are kind of registered in my mindset. Because I have heard stories about their atrocities. They all look very aggressive and kind of displeasing facial expression and things like that. So in my discussion of the world, I have that kind of a picture of police, and whenever I see the police, that discussion comes, and I lose my real freedom and relaxed mindset when I see them. Actually, yeah. Similarly, people have notions about the rich, the upper class, the poor class. In India, especially, the trouble of India is that the discussion of the world of a great majority of Indians include so-called caste community divisions. You see, that discussion is to change. That's what the government and the education system should try for. Art, literature, everything should try for. Yesterday, for instance, we were discussing that various religious communities have their schools and colleges. Okay, like Hindus have their schools and colleges and so-called deemed universities. Christians have their definitely well-run schools and colleges and universities. And Muslims also have their schools and colleges and universities. But there are no schools or colleges or universities established by the so-called, what you call, the Dalits. There is not a single Dalit person who is really rich a businessman, huh? Who has the confidence and background and support systems to start a school or a college. See? or the government of India does not provide a facility of university. So what I am telling is, so an average Indian has a discussion of the world which contains very clear-cut definitions about the caste, community, religion division also. Okay. Now the discussion of the world includes that volatile, VUCA. The world is becoming volatile. The five characteristics of the world now: volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and dangerous. See?
Yeah.
Because of terrorism, because of other social anomalies, activities of power groups, then criminal groups, they are all increasing. Despite police system and other supervisory systems, all these anomalies are only increasing. Then the looming so-called as of 2025, the possibility of a world war, and actions of the US president or the Chinese president or Russian president or whatever, all these are amounting to the development of a discussion of the world. That's why people are quickly susceptible to depression and loss of meaning in life. The leaders, the political leaders, the business leaders, the religion leaders are not considering these aspects. Okay? Or things have gone beyond their control also. Okay?
Okay.
And now, then the political violations. And then the fundamental thing, and the discussion of the world by the females and discussion of the world by the males. For example, females, increasing sexual offenses against the girls, females. Okay, and how can they walk confidently in the night or confidently walk alone in relatively, empty roads and all that? They are constantly driven by some kind of an anxiety and tension. That is their discussion of the world. Yeah. So that aspect is not genuinely considered by the various systems. And now there is increased the ideas about depression, and then now family. The family structure has completely collapsed. Okay. Now the nuclear family, now living in relationships, and increasingly men and women are not at all ready to marry. They are not at all ready to have children, and females are not ready to work like the conventional houses. They are not ready to cook. They are not ready to cooperate with the husband the way they have seen even their mothers doing. So a lot of things are changing, and the discussion of the world is resultantly changing, and which will have effects on the mindsets and the expressions and responses and behaviors and ways of doing and ways of relating and ways of language of people, ways of the very mental process. As a result of all these things, there is increased tendency towards psychological problems and equally increasing tendency for actual physical problems. Look at the frequency or the statistical incidence of serious illness is increasing every day. A lot of YouTube doctors say cancer is increasing because of food problems, food habits, etc. Okay, food habits may have a role in that, definitely. But more than that, there is the role of the mindset. Ragadi roge. So that mindsets of people have been thoroughly affected, thoroughly weak, and absolutely doubtful. Now, when I have administered that questionnaire on the mental blocks, a great majority, more than 97% of people, I administered that questionnaire to more than 20,000 people. Okay, direct administration. Okay. And then the statistical average shows 97% of the people are suffering from fear and anxieties about the ambiguous and the unknown and the strange and the unclear. And suffering from terrible fear of failure and defeat and loss and loss of whatever, suffering from great fear of criticism and what other people will think about me, and suffering from self-doubt, and victims of highly rigid regimentation of life in order to protect variations in the environment by following a rigid life and rigid mindsets and rigid relationships. and rigid knowing. And finally, their sensitivities are all closed. They don't want to be sensitive because there is nothing good most of the time available in the environment. So their sensitivities are all closed within a small range. Of course, the education system or the campaign system have never induced some kind of a training, some kind of sensitivity among the young children so that they will be inspired to be interested in the higher order knowings, philosophies, spirituality or higher order thinking in general. Okay? And the religion is taking advantage of that. Okay? So various religions are cashing on this. They are taking advantage of this predicament of human beings and making them more and more slaves of a religion, so that they enjoy the power of their collectivity. And some of the religions have their own specific groups, fundamental groups. They think that if the world is like this, it can be completely rectified if they kill all the people whom they hate, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that is what. There is more to say about world as a discussion. And the so-called stupid media and of various kinds in India, especially regular media, the newspapers and normal channels, they only publish the negatives. Okay? And human beings have been made conditioned, especially in India, to be more interested to read the negatives, like the news of murder and rape and accidents and killings and political havocs. So newspapers, when they are print ready by 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning with somebody, a minister inaugurating or some university festival, and if they get news of rape and murder, they will remove all these things and put that news. Okay? So people are interested in it. It's not their fault. People have been sensitized more. So their description of the world is containing sure elements of rape and murder and terrorist activities and killings and various types of unethical events. So there is a genuine curiosity to know that. They don't want to see the good news because they don't believe in that. It doesn't click, it doesn't register anything in them. It's such a salient, such a saturated. They have become addicted to the negative news. They're all parts of the discussion of the world. Okay? We stop now. Bye.
Bye.